Alright, this video is about market failure. So this is the first part of market failure. There is a second part. This part of market failure is going to be talking about public goods. So, what is market failure? Well, market failure, it occurs in pure market economies where you have people that are not involved in an economic interaction that benefit or pay the cost of a particular interaction. So you kind of think of as somebody being blindsided. They're not involved, and all of a sudden they have some sort of effect on them. Okay, it could be a positive effect, could be a negative effect, but the whole point is that market failure happens in a pure market system. Now, what we have going on in a modified free enterprise economy or a mixed economy is that we are trying to control for market failure. Okay, so market failure is something that really only happens in a pure, or tries to only happen in a pure market system. So when market failure does occur, the government may try to get involved. They may get involved to either stop things that are happening that are negative, so stop costs that are happening to third parties, or they may get involved to try and encourage positive things to continue happening. So the first example of market failure is that of public goods. Public goods are going to be products that are provided by the government, but they're used by everyone as a group. Right? So public goods are going to be included in things like police and fire protection, things like national defense, things like the street system. Okay? Those are all public goods because they're provided by the government, but everybody really uses them. Now, there are other characteristics that go along with public goods. First is that people can't be excluded from the benefits of a public good even if they don't pay. Okay? So, for example, I always give this analogy, it was something that kind of stuck with me, is that if I decide that I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to invent this invisible force field that is going to go over the entire country, and that is going to be our national defense. It's going to be this invisible force field, this big huge bubble that goes over the entire country. Okay? Now, I can prove that it works. If I prove that it works, okay? And now I'm going to prove it works, and I'm going to market it to everybody, and I'm going to go around and I'm going to try and get everybody to pay for this to be able to afford this invisible force field for the entire country. And so I go around and I say, okay, I want everybody to hand over $200. Okay? So I go around to everybody and I ask them to pay $200 for this invisible force field. Well, there will be some people that will decide that they just can't afford to pay or don't want to pay. But the thing is that I cannot go and not protect them. If I have my invisible force field, it's not like I can go and have a hole over their head in that force field that follows them everywhere. Okay? I have to protect everyone. So just because they choose not to pay, I can't exclude them. So that's part of the reason why a public good has to be provided by the government, because the government will try to collect taxes from everyone to be able to pay for public goods. Now, those people that don't pay but receive the benefit anyways are what we call free riders. And that kind of makes sense. They ride for free. Okay? They get the benefit for free. They didn't pay. Okay? So, for example, in my little invisible force field scenario, I would have some people that would not choose to pay. Okay? But, like I said, I can't have a hole in my force field following them wherever they go. So, as a result, okay, those are my free riders. Those are my people that they didn't pay, but they still receive the benefits of the force field. All right, another characteristic of a public good is that when a public good is being used by one person, it doesn't diminish the benefit to other people. For example, better example, I could use it for the force field, but a better example would be if we're talking about, let's say, lights, street lights. Okay, the government provides street lights to us. I'm gonna go on a walk at night, walking down the street, sidewalk. I have street lights lighting my way, I can see where I'm going. Just because I'm walking and enjoying the streetlights doesn't mean another person can't come along and enjoy those same streetlights. Just because I'm using it doesn't mean that it diminishes the benefit of the streetlights to somebody else. Okay, so public goods, in order for them to be considered a public good, they have to be provided by the government. They have to be something that is used by everyone. They have to be something where once you put it out there, you can't exclude people that don't pay. And lastly, just because I put it out, public good out there for somebody, and somebody uses it, it doesn't diminish the results for somebody else. And I'll give you another example. So those are the characteristics of a public good. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about that is kind of a public good is infrastructure. And infrastructure are actually paid by the public and the private sectors. These are the things that are required for society to function. For example, highways, water systems, sewer systems, power systems. These are all the day-to-day nuts and bolts of society. Okay, we need these things. Right? Now, a lot of them will be funded by the government, but may be run by private companies. For example, you ever driven in Chicago? Okay, a lot of the roads, the highways, the interstates in Chicago are toll roads. Okay, the interstate system was built by the government. However, now you oftentimes have private companies that are running the toll booths and the interstate systems. So they're the ones that are collecting money from you to be able to pay for the general upkeep of that particular interstate. Okay, that's part of our infrastructure, but it is paid by the public and the private. So the public is the government, private sector is going to be the private companies. Other examples of public goods, street lights, like I said, okay, they are an example of public goods. They're provided by the government, they're used by everyone. Just because I don't pay my taxes, I can't be excluded from not using the street lights. And just because one person is using the streetlights doesn't mean that other people can't use the streetlights. Doesn't mean that they're not available for other people. Another example, I know you've seen this, 4th of July time, fireworks. This is a perfect example of a free rider. Okay, when was the last time you had to pay to watch fireworks? Probably, if you think about it, never. Okay, because fireworks is one of those things is that they usually shoot off fireworks maybe at the end of a baseball game around the 4th or whatever event that you're going to. And the reason that they don't charge, if you think about it, is that if they charge you, there are a lot of other people that aren't coming to the event that can still see the fireworks. They're free riders. They didn't pay for it, but they still get the benefits of watching the fireworks. That's why oftentimes you have fireworks that are put on by government groups. You have, the city putting it on, okay? Because the government, the city government can pay for it. And they're not excluding people that don't pay, for example. And just because one person is watching the fireworks doesn't diminish the beautifulness of the fireworks to somebody else. Okay, so that's why a lot of times you'll have city governments putting it on, but you will also have private companies putting on fireworks, but notice they don't make you pay because they know they just can't control it. You're going to have too many free riders. All right, we did an activity in class that talked about a public goods game. I'm going to just show this to you. This is talking about the public goods game. We'll talk more about it in class the day after we do it in class. So pay attention to this discussion. Basically, this was illustrating the idea of a public good, but we'll talk about it there. I'll see you guys in class. Bye.